everybody, to another episode of Head to Head Sports. I'm your host, Brian Parker, along with my co-host, Mr. Randall Hargrove. How you doing, sir?
I've seen better days.
Oh my goodness, I did too. I sat there and kept hitting the wrong opening, so I got it right. So
Oh yeah, I saw that. I heard that.
yeah, that didn't sound right. Let me do it again. That ain't sound right either. Let me try it one more time. Oh my goodness. That's what happens when you're your own producer for the day. So you gotta juggle a lot of different things. But
Boy, who you telling?
right. So welcome everybody again to Head to Head. We are here again for another week in the NFL. We are streaming live and direct on Amazon Fire TV, Roku TV, LinkedIn, Facebook Live, as well as YouTube. You can always go to YouTube, search for Empower TV Network. Please like, share, but most importantly, subscribe. Keep growing that subscription week after week. We certainly appreciate it. Also, if you go to Amazon Fire or Roku, just pull up Empower. As a lot of people are cutting the cord to cable. I think I read something just yesterday where Spectrum lost about almost 1 million people year over year just in the month of July because people are cutting the cord of cable and going to more streaming
Good
services, things like that. So,
Lord the
cable,
daggone prices.
man, cable is going to become a thing of the past, and it's kind of crazy, but we are already there. So when you get there on Roku, we're already there. So we've been doing this for quite some time. This is season number 4 for us. As we dip and dive into the go-on zone in the NFL. So I do appreciate that. Also, everybody, as a reminder too, you can always check out Randall's group, Kendrick Cult. Go to their Facebook or YouTube page and check them out for their list of shows and everything. I promise, Rand, I'm working on this promo video. My goodness, I had so much footage. I finally think I've got it down to about 13 minutes, so I got about 8 more minutes to cut. So I'm still trying to go back. I've gone through like 2 times, and I gotta go back for a third cut and keep trying to whittle it down. But I was gonna have an awesome promo for the Colt. So
Thank you very much. And now is the time where you need your own producer for real.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. So I normally have her on Thursday, but she doesn't join me for the Wednesday show. So I almost have to get used to the buttons all over again too, because I'm like, wait a minute, what was that at? Okay, where did I? And I'm the one that put it there, so that's the crazy part. Well, Rand, I'm gonna start with this. Cowboy fans, you won. Move the hell on. Rand, I got this friend, and I ain't gonna name him. But after they took their beating from the San Francisco 49ers, and this is my Cowboy friend that always tells me out of all the Cowboy fans out there, he's the one that's not delusional. He's the one that is rational. And I just look at him, I said, well, those two things don't even go in the same sentence. That can't be true. There could be different levels of psychosis. I do believe in that. And I think if you're a Cowboy fan, you're inherently a nut. Now there's just different levels of being a nut. So he puts out this text on Facebook after they lose to the 49ers. Man, the Cowboys aren't who we thought they were. We fall for this okie doke every year, and we just need to accept the fact that our quarterback isn't going to get us where we want to go, and Jerry Jones needs to make changes, and yada, 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 yada. Real somber, real reflective. I'm sitting there going, yeah, okay, whatever. He even got people commenting on his feed talking about, that's right, brother, tell it, DC for L, but we got to do better, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. They were just taking it. They just needed a place to have therapy, I guess, online. And 3 minutes after they eked out a win over the Chargers, DC for L's back, baby. I mean, I'm just like, oh my God, this is what I'm gonna have to deal with till the next time they lose. Oh my God. It was so crazy. I'm like, look, it's a win. You have to play who's on your schedule. Move on. But I mean, he kept on posting stuff like it was all everything he had posted the week before was just a troll, and He don't even remember it. And I'm like, okay, but you're supposed to be the rational one, right? Well, hey, bro, whatever you say. So the Cowboys and the Chargers, a game riddled with penalties, penalties, penalties. Um, you know, it's crazy when the best stat of the game was Dak didn't throw an interception. But you still had 11 accepted penalties on the Cowboys side for 85 yards, and the Chargers had 9 themselves. So it was a very sloppy game, a lot of pre-snap penalties and things like that. But a win is a win. But again, and the Chargers aren't bum teams. They're now 2-3. But they still are trying to find their footing too. But in Dallas still had some things that made me question, are they going to be able to do this in the long run? One thing in particular was the fact that Dak Prescott led the team in rushing. Now, honestly, it was good for me to see him. I've been wanting to see him do more runs because I felt like that would help loosen up the defenses that they played, but they kind of knew he wasn't going to take off like he used to back in the day. But he had 7 carries for 40 yards.
I didn't even know he was capable of running the ball anymore.
Right, me either. So long. I mean, the next person was Tony Pollard. Pollard had 15 rushes for 30 yards, 2 yards a carry. Pollard did his damage mostly on that 61-yard play because he had 6 receptions for 80 yards, meaning that he had 5 outside of that big one for about 19 yards. CD Lamb definitely got off. He had 7 receptions for 117. That was good to see. If you're a Cowboy fan, listen, there were some good things to see. Micah Parsons, invisible in the game almost until that last play that sacked Justin Herbert. And then Stephon Gilmore finished it off with the interception of Herbert. So there were some good things to see. But other than that, I mean, yeah, until Micah had that sack at the end of the game, that was their first sack of the game.
Yeah. And Tony Pollard, a little bit of a disappointment this year, man. Now that he's the man at running back, and he's not coming in at second fiddle, and he's not playing that change of pace role, and defenses can actually game plan against him. He's averaging less than 4 yards a carry now.
Right.
His last 3 ball games, I don't even think he's hit 60 yards in either of the games. So, yeah, he's a bit of a disappointment this year for y'all. Not you, but for you Cowboys.
Yeah.
I'll never make that mistake.
Right. Like I said, listen, I'll always give credit where credit is due, but I'm try to put it in the perspective. Dallas, it was a win. It's October. Move on. Yes, I want you to celebrate your team winning. Don't get me wrong. If your team won and you didn't say anything, well, hey, that's kind of crazy. But there's context, there's nuance with this. The reason that people don't like y'all because every time you win a game, it's the greatest win in the world. You're the greatest team in the world, and every time you lose a game, either we have to go on suicide watch, put you on the side of a milk carton to find you, or we just see you walking around and you ain't got nothing to say. So it's just the extremes of it. It's okay, guys. Listen, me and my brother were talking about this today because we're Carolina Panther fans and we've not yet went to the point of putting bags over our heads for that. We don't expect anything out of Carolina. If they perform well, we acknowledge a great performance. If they overperform, we acknowledge a great performance. If they don't perform well, we knew that's who they were. That's who they've been. We kind of keep it in. I think we even talked about that before. Even when they were on their way to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, it was still kind of like, oh, okay, very cool, until it became really real. Like as they were going to the playoffs, it was like, oh, okay, man, it's really nice to be in the playoffs. Still wasn't expecting a Super Bowl. Everybody was kind of talking about it, but we were like, nah. But Cowboys, y'all just expect to do something that you haven't done in 28 years. Just let that sink in. There's Cowboy fans today that have never seen you guys go to the NFC Championship.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the closing window for the Cowboys, because I said this during our show last week, that their window when they was like really a powerhouse and ready to like go to the Super Bowl, they were stopped by the 49ers 2 years in a row.
Mhm.
Um, but that first year was when they were really good. That's the year in which Dak foolishly tried to run up the middle and spike
Mhm.
the ball before the clock ran out, and then the clock ends up running out and it ends their season.
Right.
But that window for Dallas is closing, and it's closing pretty quickly. Like I said, Ezekiel carried the load for them for a long time.
Mhm.
Now it's turned over to Tony Pollard, and Pollard is not doing too well with that load as far as running the ball and being the primary running back. And even there's some questions out there about CeeDee Lamb. Is he a number one receiver?
Right.
I don't know. When he first came into the league, I was like, yeah, okay, maybe. Now I'm not really seeing that. He has one touchdown all year long. Um, I mean, he had 7 catches the other night in a 100-yard game, but I think it was maybe his first or second 100-yard game of the season.
Right. Right.
So I mean, there's been times where he's straight up disappeared, 4 catch games and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
when you're talking about a number one primary receiver,
Show up every
that's
game.
yeah, you got to show up game after game. You can't be pulling no DJ Moores out there. So
That's exactly what I was about to say. I was about to say another DJ Moore, where
yeah,
he'll show you what he could be, but you just don't always get it.
right, right. And
Mhm.
even with Dak, I said Dak, I haven't seen that mobility in a while. If you look at Dak now, I'm surprised he ran 7 times for 40 yards. But
Mhm.
even with that, if you look at Dak in the pocket, he used to be able to, he used to be like a Ben Roethlisberger in his prime, like
Yeah.
getting away from people and mobility in the pocket. Now he's like a Ben Roethlisberger in his final years. A lot of stiffness there with
Mhm.
Dak, man. And I think maybe that's why the Cowboys chose to pull off that trade and go out there and trade with the 49ers, because they want a quarterback with some mobility for the future. Because I think they see Dak is starting a decline. So, I mean, I know that's a mouthful, but what do you think about that?
Well, it's a great question and it's a great point because I'm wondering the same thing. I'm hearing all these rumblings about, Dak is a good guy. He puts up numbers every now and then. But it's kind of the same thing when you talk about him, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Tony Pollard. It's the inconsistencies that kill you. You don't know when they're going to turn it on, and most of the time, when they need it the most, they don't show up. They do just enough to end up in the middle to the lower end of the first round draft. So you're not going to be in a position to get a high draft quarterback. So then you have to keep asking yourself, do we keep riding the Dak train and bask in mediocrity? Or when do we say enough is enough? Part of the other question to a lot of people is that is Jerry Jones, who's a lot closer to the end of his life than the beginning, is he in a position to blow it up and start over? Well, he's got some decisions to make because again, Micah's going to be up for a contract. CeeDee Lamb is going to be up for a contract. Do you want to give CeeDee an extension and he's a DJ Moore Jr.? Um, are you going to want to sit there? And then you got Trayvon Diggs, who's going to be coming up for re-signing. Um, D Law is going to need some money soon.
And let me just interrupt you and say they do not have a number 2 receiver either. Because if they
No,
counting on Gallup for that, you can forget it. He ain't a number
forget
2.
it. He ain't. He isn't it. They really sit there. Jerry will never admit this, but he moved on from Amari Cooper way too soon. That's just the truth of the matter. It made no sense when he did it. Now they have Trey Lance, and now do you sit there and with Dak making about $45 million a year, do you extend Dak again, where now you're going to have to put him in the low to mid 50 range when he's not getting you over the hump? And the other question to that too, Rand, is did we see any opening for the Cowboys now that the last two undefeated teams got beat this past week in the Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers? Is there a path for Dallas? Because now the Immortals have come back to the world of the rest of the NFL with a loss in their category.
Yeah, man. I when the season first started, I was really all about some potential NFC Championship, Dallas, San Francisco. Now that the season has started and I've seen some of the chinks in the armor that Dallas has, I don't see them making a deep playoff run. I see them actually being, even if they make the playoffs, being knocked off by the first game they play.
Yeah,
And
well,
I
yeah,
don't care who's
it'll be a road game because there'll be a wild card.
yeah,
If they don't win the division and they make the playoffs, they're going to be a wild card.
yeah. So to me, just what I'm seeing, that Super Bowl window is rapidly shutting. If we're talking strictly Super Bowl, I think it's already closed.
Me too. Me too. I mean, I don't even see an NFC Championship game.
No,
because the problem with the Cowboys is if you're going to be a wild card to make it to the NFC Championship game, you got to win 3 games in a row. Well, I mean, you got to win 2 games to get to it. Then you got to win the third one to, do it. But can they string together back-to-back wins in the playoffs? But we hadn't seen that happen, and God knows when. That's the problem is, can they give you a good game? Yes. But you just never know when it's going to come. And in the playoffs, there are no redos. If you don't have that good game the first one, there ain't going to be a second game. So that's the problem. You just don't know what you're going to get with them. Is it time to blow them up? I think so. Are you going to keep throwing money at Dak when Dak is not going to be the answer for you? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's just going around and around and around. It's just like these crazy, nauseating Cowboy fans that can't realize that Lucy going to keep pulling the football away from you, Charlie Brown. I don't know why every time you go all out to kick it, knowing good and damn well hell it ain't going to be there when you raise your leg. But you do it anyway, and you know what the end result is. You've seen this movie 18 times. I'm sorry for the Cowboys. You've seen that movie 28 times in a row. And you keep thinking that it's going to somehow end differently when you watch it one more time. I'm going to sit in the front. Like, I ain't never watched Friday. I watched Friday 28 times. It always ends the same way.
Yeah.
But you're not going, and you know this, man. It don't end with Debo or nothing else. It always end that way.
Yeah, it don't end with Debo beating up Ice Cube at the end.
Right. Or Ice Cube actually did pull the trigger. It doesn't end like that, y'all. It never will. I'm not saying you guys will never win the NFC Championship, but let's take steps. You can't even get to the game. Then we're talking about winning it. So I don't know. I don't know if what we saw in San Francisco and Philadelphia gives Cowboy fans any reason to believe that they got to play Philly this year because in the same division. Or do they have a chance to beat Philly now? A lot of people said, well, maybe they'll split. But can they keep pace with Philly as far as wins and losses? I just don't think so. I think every time Dallas is going to play a formidable team, they're not going to show up. If they play a physical team and they get hit in the mouth, they're not going to show up. I haven't seen it yet. I didn't see a lot of physicality from the Chargers. So they had just gotten beaten up from the 49ers. I believe that if the Chargers would have had the same physicality or somewhere close as the 49ers, they probably would have beaten them well too. But I'm getting a little concerned that Micah Parsons, who by far is the best player on their team right now, is starting to get missing. I'm wondering if teams have figured out, to some extent, Micah Parsons. You can't stop him, and you neutralize him just a little bit.
One of the same positions played, but a different team right here in our own backyard. I'm starting to wonder the same thing about Brian Burns.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to say Jeremy Chin.
Well, Jeremy Chin is missing. He is on the side of a milk carton. And as the trade deadline approaches us, I mean, he really should be up for trading. I mean, because evidently this coaching staff can't use him.
No, they hadn't figured it out. I thought Evero would have looked at him and been like, oh, my God, I've been waiting for this. Like it was going to be some shiny car. And he'd just be like, oh, my God, I'm going to drive this thing all over 277. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be all over the place in this. Minton Moorhead, watch out. I'm driving this Jeremy Chin right here.
Yeah.
Nothing.
No, if you look at the games, I mean, they try to, at the beginning of the season, they wanted to use him in the nickel.
Right.
I really didn't know about that, but evidently, you know, in a 3-4 scheme, that's where they best felt that he would fit in at. Um, so they put him in the nickel position, and he can't cover, so he's on the sideline.
So I want to ask you that. I know we were talking about Cowboys, but I want to ask you about that because I meant to ask you a couple of weeks ago. The games that I've been watching, I don't know if my eyes are deceiving me, but I've seen a lot of 4-3 instead of 3-4.
They play a little bit of mixture of both, and sometimes they'll take Burns and then put him down with his hand in the ground and make it look like it's a 4-3.
Okay.
But sometimes Burns will be also so far up onto the ball that it also, or off to one side, that it also looks like a 4-3 when it's
It
really
does.
3-4.
Okay.
But
Okay.
regardless of the fact, man, I don't think Chin fits in what Ejero's scheme is. It just doesn't seem like it. I thought he'd be best in this scheme as a linebacker,
Me too.
especially with Shaq going down. I mean, I thought he
Yeah.
would really be a linebacker.
I thought he'd be in some heavy blitz packages, taking
Mm-hmm.
shots at the quarterback, being basically unblocked on a lot of these plays, the way they would scheme it up and stuff. See him coming through the middle, the side, all kinds of different ways of using him because of his versatility. And you know what's
Yep.
going to happen? This is what's going to happen, Rand. They're going to, because October 31st is the trade deadline. They're going to trade him.
Yeah.
He's going to ball out wherever he goes.
Wouldn't you know? Yep.
Already
that seems to be the case.
already know it.
Seems to be the case.
I kind of got a feeling that he ain't gonna be the only one traded. I think if you're 0-6, you got to be realistic about your chances. Is Tampa really setting the world on fire? No, they just lost to the Lions 20-6. Are the Saints really doing a whole lot where they're kind of up and down? Atlanta, they're not going anywhere either. There are a lot of teams not going anywhere that they know between now there's going to be another. Oh my gosh, how many we got? Let's see. Today's the 18th, so we got 2 more weeks before the actual trade deadline. So the Panthers have a bye, otherwise they'd be 0-7. But it's possible they'll be 0-7 right before the trade deadline, and some teams could potentially also have a really upside down record over the next 2 weeks, and we'll have to start to make that decision. Do we start offloading like the Broncos started offloading pass rushers 2 weeks ago? Randy Gregory goes to the 49ers and they get rid of the other pass rusher. So it's almost like they basically saying, yeah, we know. We already know. We just basically playing for the number 1 pick.
I think like reading the little tea leaves in the media sometimes is a lot of fun, man. Like you look at Frank Reich a few weeks ago when he was asked the question, is he going to give up the play calling? He was very adamant that he was not going to do that. In fact, it was something that he enjoyed doing. And there were some questions as to whether he could both manage the game and call the plays at the same time. And he dismissed all those concerns and said, it's just a feeling out process. But the play calling was not going anywhere.
No.
All of a sudden, here we are. I read, Frank Reich will no longer be calling the plays for the Carolina Panthers. So that only came from one place. It ain't like Reich all of a sudden makes that decision. I'm going to hand it off to the offensive coordinator. Nah, he was told to do it. He was.
Other than the $25 million that they gave Miles Sanders, what is it that Frank Reich is seeing from that running back that's convincing him to start him over Chuba Hubbard when healthy?
Absolutely nothing. That's another disappointment that's out there is Miles Sanders. On top of that, the fumbles. On top of that, not being effective in even the pass game. On top of that, not picking up blitzing. Chuba is smaller, but Chuba is more effective, and he picks up blitzes and he's blocking better.
Chuba
you gotta start that dude, man.
Chuba chews up
you gotta start that guy. You gotta.
I don't get it. And he's more versatile in the passing game, which is an extension of the run game when they set him out on screens and other things like that. He's a little bit more reliable. Ball security definitely is a big thing, especially when you got a rookie quarterback who can basically turn into a turnover machine all on its own. Now you got to worry about whether the running back can secure the ball and not, lose possessions and stuff like that. That's just too many turnovers like that is just too much for any team to overcome most given Sunday.
Yeah.
The margin between wins and losses can really come down to certain plays in that game, and having that many turnovers in a game will come back to bite you. Like they had a really, really quick start against Miami. I'm sitting there going, wow, 14 points just like that.
No, where'd that come from?
And I'm sitting there going, I ain't buying it. I ain't buying it. I looked, I said, whatever, and kept running my business. I said, I don't care if they up 75-0 on the Dolphins, they gonna lose.
And they did lose. And I want to know whose defensive decision it was. Maybe it was a safety not being in the right spot. But when I saw Dante Jackson one-on-one against the Cheetah, I was like, how did that happen? How in the hell did that happen? I mean, that's not even fair.
No.
And I'm not even mad at Dante Jackson. It ain't his fault. He can't. I mean, you can only run as fast as you can run. You can't keep up with no Cheetah, man.
Yeah, he probably gone too.
I wouldn't doubt it. Look, everybody should be up. Everybody.
Yeah, I honestly think that Sanders could be gone. I think Dante Jackson could be gone. I think Chin is gone. I think Burns is potentially gone.
Agreed.
I think they're gonna blow it up.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I think they're gonna play a bunch of young guys and just see what happens.
Why would you pay Burns right now?
Yeah, because you don't have anything to complement him on the other side of the ball.
You have nothing. You don't have a first round pick to go and get yourself one like next year.
Right. And that circles back to the whole Dallas conversation that I had is that now you got Micah Parsons. He's going to start coming up on his second deal. Trayvon Diggs is going to come up on his second deal. Do you have something on the other side of the ball to complement them? This isn't the 2000 Ravens. You can't sit there and just put it all on the defense to take a Trent Dilfer and carry you all the way to the Super Bowl and he get a ring. And that's all that people remember, other than the fact that he was the best iteration of the word game manager ever. Those days are over. You have to have a competent quarterback that can make some really, really timely throws and keep the chains moving to give your defense a chance to be able to be great and not just okay. And Dak is not that dude. Bryce isn't that dude right now until further seen. He did have probably one of his best throwing games that I've seen.
I thought so too.
That was a little bit that was helpful to be able to see some promise. I still think that a guy of that stature coming into the league as the first round pick would have been better served to have been on the bench the first couple of games and watch Andy Dalton. I think we've ruined this young man. And when you see other quarterbacks around the league, like Daniel Jones, he's broken. When you see Zach Wilson, he's broken. And Lord knows Mac Jones is broke. I can't even put the N on it because they broke the N off of broken. He broke. He done.
Yeah, they need to move on from him.
He's
man.
over.
Yeah, he's definitely over.
Cam Newton is going to be right in this one. He is better than a starting quarterback in the NFL. Mac Jones.
Mac Jones is awful.
Mac Jones.
But back to the the Brian Burns thing. Like, why would you pay this guy? Evidently, he wants to be getting the same money as a Bosa. But the thing about that, he wants the Bosa, TJ Watt type money. But the thing about that is TJ Watt and Bosa are both great against the run, and they don't take no daggone plays off.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Burns, I mean, he comes out, smoking the first game, hitting people everywhere, doing the Spider-Man. And I'm like, oh, wow, this dude right here is making a statement. But ever since then, it's here and there spotty. And when it comes to setting the edge for the run, I mean, he ain't good at that at all.
No.
So if you're going to pay a defensive end money that he's looking for, you got to be good at both.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I saw him miss on some run tackles 2 weeks ago. Like he whiffed. I'm like,
yeah,
what was that?
Yeah.
Like where it would have been like a 2-yard gain turned into like 20 yards down the field. I'm like, You had him in front of you. What happened?
Yeah, and I could tell you right now, there ain't too many running backs breaking out a tackle from TJ Watt. It
No,
just ain't. Or
no.
Bosa. Once they get their
When he got
hands
the
on
big
you,
mitts on you, he
going
got
down.
he got
Brian Burns, though, a little iffy, man. So
you. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I agree. This, he's definitely in the top echelon. But when you start talking about Nick Bosa, TJ Watt money, um, yeah,
expectation goes up.
that too. That too. And when I think about Miles Sanders, he hit it big with the $25 million. Even though a lot of that is just kind of smoke and mirrors. I think it was a 5-year contract. They could move on from him after this year, or they could trade him
Yeah.
and eat up a whole lot of that. A lot of that's just dead money anyway. They could really move on from that. But again, when I think about Miles in that respect, this is another one of those dark marks on running backs where you got a running back that's not getting paid a lot of money, being more productive than the one that's getting all the money, i.e.,
Pittsburgh got the
Jonathan
same
Taylor,
problem.
Zach Moss. I mean, you just see that. The only one that's kind of bucking that right now is Christian McCaffrey. You're
Yeah.
not going to start Elijah Mitchell over Christian McCaffrey. I mean, that's just not going to happen. But some of these other ones are close. I mean, they traded to get Dalvin Cook in New Jersey, and they're still riding with Brees Hall, and Brees is on his rookie deal.
Yep.
Um,
Pittsburgh, Jalen Samuels is far outplaying
bruh,
yeah,
yeah,
Najee Harris right now. It's not
yeah.
even close.
Nope, nope. So then when they're up for those second contracts, this is this league is all about data and analytics and stuff. But what does the data and analytics tell you about today's running back and their second contracts that come up and their trade value and stuff like that? I remember a time you could trade a really, really good running back for a second, third round pick. Now they're going for fourth, fifth, sixth round picks.
Yeah. They're definitely going to have to address this at the next collective bargaining agreement. They're going to have to take away the team's ability to franchise tag them,
Right.
especially
Absolutely.
for a second straight year. I mean, that's almost like running back death. They got no options at all. Taylor, if you want to talk about that one right there, I mean, he's prime
Mhm.
example. Tried to leave, tried to trade, ends up going absolutely nowhere because really you're kind of stuck in this market.
Yep. I think ever since Le'Veon Bell tried to exact leverage that he never had on a team, it ain't really went well for
Nah.
whether it was him, Todd Gurley, Ezekiel Elliott. It's just, man, it's just not been that way like it used to be. And I get it from these guys. They touch the ball other than the quarterback a whole lot of times. They take a lot of those beatings. That's why a lot of teams are going to two back sets and things like that to kind of take some of the wear and tear off of a back. But now when you look at somebody like a Zach Moss who's been productive for you, well, now he's got to sit there and share snaps now with Jonathan Taylor.
I know how you figure that one out. It's,
The saying with quarterbacks is when you got two, you got none. But I kind of say the same with running backs sometimes. When you got two, you got none because there's got to be one guy that's a guy and the other guy that's maybe more situational, whether it's third and short or certain packages and stuff that you want to be able to run where maybe they start both in the backfield, one steps up, becomes more of a fullback-ish kind of person, or that does a lot of chip blocks and then gets out in space like for screens in the middle of the defense and things like that. You can certainly get away with that. That's what I liked about Kyle Shanahan being imaginative enough to use Christian McCaffrey that way so that he just wasn't always a run up the middle, north south running back, but he was a guy that could scare you in a lot of different ways. Every running back isn't able to do that. But when I see a guy like Chuba Hubbard who can sit there and line up in the backfield, I can see him split out wide. I can see him get in open space, be able to catch the ball and get positive yards after that. Those are good things to see. Going back to the Panthers, bro, y'all got a gadget guy named Laviska Shenault. I don't know if y'all have ever met him on your team. If you get to do these smoke routes in open space, he gonna burn whoever's in front of him.
He's
Dude
very
is
good at that. Yeah.
he's very dynamic with that. Um, I don't know. I just see a lot of plays that get left on the field, and I'm like, okay, where was the reverse? Where was the trickery? I did see one trickery play against Miami that worked, where Hecker was supposed to punt the ball and he actually threw the ball for a first down. That was interesting for them to do, and it actually worked. I'm not saying that I'm a big fan of trick plays, but you can't be so predictable that teams can play basically vanilla defenses against you, and really just keep you in front of them because they know you're not going to do anything extraordinary.
Yeah. I've just been extremely disappointed by Sanders coming from Philly over to us this year. I thought, this was going to be our 5 yards per carry guy because he was that dude in Philly. But, I guess if you want to break everything down, a lot of that was attributed to Philadelphia's offensive line. They are dynamic. As you can see, Swift right now is having a career year under them or behind that line when he was really struggling in Detroit. So it
Right.
makes a difference, man.
That's a good question because a lot of times you don't know always, is it more of the line or is it the back? But what I've been noticing over the last couple of years, or what's been being proven, is most of the time it's the line. It's
Yeah.
like because you can just insert said guy behind that line, and as long as he's somewhat competent and capable, he's going to normally do decent. Now, is he going to sit there and break off Derrick Henry runs? No, you don't need him to. Can he keep the chains moving? That's what you need your back to do. Can he make the defense play honest enough that when they do decide to stack 8-9 in the box, now your receivers can get some kind of separation in these one-on-one matchups? That's really all you need your back to do, is be that threat instead of it being your quarterback that's that threat.
Yep. And one thing I'll say about both about Sanders and also Najee Harris with Pittsburgh,
Mm-hmm.
when you get the ball, and not like I'm talking like I'm some type of running back, but hey, I've watched a lot of football over the years, man. When you get that dang ball, you got to explode up in a hole. You got to choose a hole and just go for it. And that's what Chuba's doing. That's what Jalen Sanders is doing. But when you get the ball and you're tiptoeing and you're looking for a hole, the play's already dead. It's over for you.
Yeah, you might as well just fall to the ground.
You might as well fall down.
Because what's going to end up happening is then you're going to start backpedaling and you're going to lose yardage. You're going to start
Yeah.
having plays for negative yards. That's the biggest thing that's going to happen. So you're right. Once that hole presents that, because that hole doesn't stay open that long. So once you get a little, they're not there to get part the Red Sea for you. If you're looking for the Red Sea to be parted, don't play running back. You got to find even the smallest. Sometimes it ain't even a hole; it's a crease. Sometimes you got to find that crease and be able to shift your body through that crease and then hit that second level and keep on going. A lot of times it's really, but it's about being decisive. When I see Chuba run, he knows exactly where he's going and he goes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And there is a thing about, hey, sometimes you kind of have to give your line a chance to kind of let the hole develop. But that is really split seconds that we're talking about. That's not really waiting for the Matador treatment where they just basically gonna sit there and usher you through the hole and you're supposed to sit there and get your 1,500 yards for the year. It's not gonna work that way.
No.
And a lot of it is, hey, it's like a boxing match too. You're gonna jab, you're gonna give these little blows early on in the match, but when them same hits start coming around the 10th, 11th, and 12th round, they're gonna hurt a little bit more. You done been putting them licks on them all game long. So it's really about not what you're doing in the first and second, even though you need to do it, but it's then when you get to the third and the fourth quarter, oh man, he hitting it feel different. He hitting you the same way. It just feel different because he's been wearing you out. What's going on, Anthony? Anthony says, will the Panthers win a game this season? Yeah, of course. Yeah, they will. Absolutely. Because I think that somebody is going to look past them and then end up giving them a win that either they shouldn't have got or that should have been more competitive. They play, it's funny, they play the Texans the next time they play right before the trade deadline. I don't even see them beating the Texans right now because CJ Stroud, I think Tank Dale is out right now. But Pierce is a good running back. We can't stop the run. So that's going to be a hard game. Then they play the Colts after that. It just announced that Anthony Richardson is going to be shut down for the rest of the year with season-ending surgery on his throwing shoulder. The biggest chance that they have that I see after that is the Bears. Now, is DJ Moore going to have the kind of game that he had 2 weeks ago? Because it's going to be a revenge game, if you want to call it that. That's a possibility, but then they got to play Dallas after that. That's an L. They got to play the Titans. That's an L because they can't stop Derrick Henry.
Oh, God.
Derrick Henry going to have over 250 yards in that game. I hope not, but I think so. Then they get into the meat of their division. They got the Bucks, Saints, and Falcons back to back to back. I could see all three of those being a loss. Then they got to play the Packers. The Packers up and down, but their defense is pretty good. I think that's a trap for Bryce Young. Then they got to play Sunshine and the Jags. Sounds like a group, a singing group. But Sunshine and the Jags come at the end of the year on the 31st. I see that as an L, and then they wrap up on the 7th with the Bucks. I see that as an L. So honestly, if they don't beat the Bears, they very well could go 0-17.
That would be the first team in NFL history to do so. That'd just be terrible to hang on us in here in our backyard. You know, I would like to say it's the NFL, and somewhere along the lines they're gonna catch somebody sleeping. So we'll see.
But that's the only way. They're gonna have to play out of their heads to really pull any of those other games. The main game that I see them being competitive in is the Bears game, but I'm not gonna sleep on Justin Fields because he's a running quarterback that could end up leading the team in rushing in that game because they won't have an answer for being able to stop him. Because remember, Jeremy Chin gonna be gone by then, Brian Burns gonna be gone by then. We will have CJ Henderson, so all he got to do is throw in his direction, and he'll get a couple of PIs that way. So
mug 'em PI, baby.
Love it. Anthony says Derrick Henry might be traded. You know, it was sent to Carolina. That would almost make sense because Anthony, I don't know if you heard the first part of the show where we were talking about players being wasted, like Brian Burns at Carolina, great defensive player being wasted because there's nothing on the offensive side of the ball to complement him. Well, the Titans are kind of in the same situation. Are they really going anywhere? Are they really going to be a formidable team? Do they scare anybody on the schedule when the Titans show up on your schedule? Does that trouble you? Does that worry you? They're an up and down team because Tannehill is not that dude. But they keep hanging on to him. This last game against the Ravens, Tannehill went 8 for 16 for 76 yards and an interception.
In the first half?
The whole game. Derrick Henry had 12 carries for 97 yards. Derrick Henry did more on the ground than Tannehill did in the air.
Terrible.
He is your offense.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I mean, when you look at that, that's insane. Your quarterback threw fewer yards than your running back ran.
That sounds like a straight up high school quarterback stat for real.
Exactly. Jermaine Parker says, without major injuries to any of their opponents, I don't see the Panthers winning a game this year. I don't either, Jermaine. The only one, like I said, the only one that I see that they may have a chance. And when I say a chance, it's more of a chance on paper. We know they play like doo-doo actually on the field. But having a chance to win is the Bears. Everything else, are they better than Tampa? No, not right now. And I think Baker, when he plays them, and he's going to be like, y'all gave up on – Baker been playing with that chip on his shoulder this year. I'll give him that. He seemed like he got something to prove to somebody.
Boy, I tell you, if Baker Mayfield lights us up for 300, I might stop watching football.
Lord, not only should you stop watching football, you need to shut down the water cooler.
For real.
You need to shut it down at least for about 4 or 5 months because you ain't going to be able to post anything on there. What about Baker? We told you, Rand, you gave up on Baker. We never did.
Oh, Jesus.
We're going to get him to Canton. Bro, I'm telling you, they just waiting for Baker to go off on us so that they can sit there and give some nasty Randall posts. see, we told you.
We told you.
Oh my God, Baker Mayfield's version of Cowboy fan. Oh my God, just waiting for him to be great. So it's crazy. But are they better than the Saints? No way. No way. Are they better than the Falcons? Well, we already saw that it's not because of Ritter, but I mean they've got Algier, they've got Robinson, they've got Kyle Pitts, who really hasn't been playing to his full potential. So could they get this one against Atlanta because it's going to be a home game? They could, but they would have to limit their penalties, their mistakes. They would have to control the ball. Time of possession would become a huge thing. Anthony
And
said
Bryce is going to have to hit the gas pedal for real.
he will. Those things that he does at the end of games when it doesn't matter anymore, he's going to have to do it at the beginning of the games when the game is still yet to be determined. He can't wait until the end of the game to then become the guy from Alabama that everybody was ranting and raving about, where his height don't matter anymore. All I see is a short quarterback for the first 3.5 quarters. And when they down, then all of a sudden I see this quarterback from Alabama that had all these accolades. And I'm going, okay, dude, where were you the first, I don't know, 55 minutes of this game? Anthony says that Ryan is out and Willis looks worse. Of course.
Boy, I tell you, man, it really just kind of cracks me up to think that a couple of years ago, how high teams were on Malik Willis. I'm talking, they had him mocked to Pittsburgh at number 20 overall.
Bro.
First round.
That's crazy.
I'm so glad Pittsburgh did their homework.
the only thing, and I forgot that Tannehill got knocked out of that game. That's why he only had 76 yards. But Malik Willis did come in. He was 4 out of 5 for 74 yards. So he had a better completion percentage. If you look at the numbers, that was 80% out of 5. And he only had 2 yards less than Tannehill, who threw 3 times as many throws.
Wow.
Yeah, but when you add it together to combine, they were 12 of 21. That's just not going to get it done from the quarterback.
Not at all.
That's just not going to get it done. Malik did run 3 times for 17 yards, so he did, but that was mostly just running to escape getting hit. Anthony also says, I don't understand how the Falcons keep he said Ritter as the quarterback.
I don't see how he won the number one job anyway, but
yeah,
whatever for that
when they got rid of I always forget his name. When they got rid of him at the end of the season and sent him on his way,
Mariota.
Marcus Mariota. When they got rid of him and said, okay, we're going to go with Ritter, I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. What has Ritter shown you that you guys are confident that he's the guy? So that's a great question. My question is this. Sometimes it literally comes down to, okay, who else is on their roster that would vie for playing time? Well, you got Taylor Heineke, who's his backup. I don't know why, when the NFC is still to be had, NFC South rather, that the Desmond Ritter, I'm about to say Ritter show hasn't come to an end, and at least Heineke has gotten a look. We've seen what Heineke can do.
Yeah.
And everything that I've seen Heineke do, Ritter can't do or hasn't done. I think Heineke could get Kyle Pitts the ball more often. I think Heineke could get Drake London the ball more often. I think Heineke could get Algier the ball in screens and in space. I know he can. I don't know. Until Heineke is on the field and Robinson is on the field, your best player is the kicker.
It's just like the Bryce and the Andy Dalton situation. I will never be convinced that Bryce Young actually outplayed Andy in the preseason and won that job. And I won't be convinced that the Riddler outplayed Taylor Heineke and won the job in preseason. No way, man. No
way. I've seen Taylor Heineke make throws that I've not seen, that Riddler can't even dream about making.
Heineke did he win a playoff game?
Yes.
I thought he won a playoff game. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you saw how he played the Patriots that year. Dude is legit. He can play. Is he a bona fide number one? Maybe, maybe not. He's definitely on that edge. But if you've got him and you've got Desmond Ridder on your team, and you want me now, the only thing that Ridder has on Heineke is that he's more mobile. Okay. Well, Tom Brady wasn't mobile.
Yeah.
Drew Brees wasn't mobile. Peyton Manning, yeah, damn sure wasn't mobile. So you don't need the guy to be mobile. You need him to. Brock Purdy ain't mobile, but Brock Purdy, when you give him time, will pick you apart. Goes through his reads, makes very decisive, on-target throws. That's what you need. I'll take that any day over a guy's mobility. Do I need him to be able to step up in the pocket a little bit to climb the pocket? Absolutely. Do I need him to be able to go through one read, two read, run? No, because that hadn't proven to do anything either. Because when I look back on that game that the Titans and the Ravens had, they basically kept fighting to see who wanted the game more. Lamar Jackson still 21 of 30, 223, touchdown and a pick. Also led the team in rushing. That is not sustainable. He does it. He wins. He moves on. Yes, they're 4-2. I get all of that. Is that going to translate into playoff success? No, absolutely not. The Ravens are another team that if they don't figure out their offense, they're going to be a team that gets to the first week of the playoffs and they're going to lose. Yeah, they're going to lose. They have not improved that team at all. No. I'm so disappointed in the Ravens. They kept talking. I always thought, oh, we got Odell Beckham Jr. Man, ain't nobody caring about that. Like, come on, stop it. Y'all need to stop. Look, I'm trying to see what Odell had this game. 2 receptions for 34 yards. Great.
About as usual.
Yeah. Again, which hasn't changed over the last how many years? Your leading receiver was your tight end. And he only had 4 catches for 69 yards.
Yeah, like I keep saying, all these Ravens fans were so excited. Oh, we got Duvernay. Oh, we got Odell. No, you did not go and get 2015 Odell Beckham Jr. You did not. You didn't even get 2019 Odell Beckham.
You did Jr. not. You did not. You gotta, it's just, and listen, Eagle fans, I see that we signed Julio Jones.
Yeah, don't start throwing no parades over that either.
That is a locker room move. That is to help the young receivers. Do not expect Julio to play a whole lot of snaps and make a lot of on-field contributions. This is strictly for your younger receivers. He may have spurts just like Odell will, but he is not going to be that guy in Atlanta. He was the cheetah before there was the cheetah, where people sat there and lost sleep game planning against what do I do on that side of the field that Julio Jones lines up on. A true stretcher of the field. He will give you the double move. He will wave goodbye to you, and he is gone. That was Julio Jones. Anthony says, I saw a trade Adams to the Ravens. The Raiders get first 2024, a fourth, and a second 2025 for Adams.
Oh, God.
If I was Adams, I'd say you better not.
Please don't let that one happen.
If I was Adams, I'd say don't you do it. And I'm gonna tell you why. His numbers will not be what they are. They just now, unless he can create enough separation like the cheetah does for Tua, maybe. But it's gonna be inconsistent at best. He'll hit some, but because what's going to happen is this: Lamar isn't the most accurate.
No, so he's not.
He's going to put the ball in harm's way, trying to force the ball down the field to Devontae Adams, and he already has a propensity to throw interceptions. I don't see that working out for him that way. When I look at I'm trying to look at passing stats now and try to find Lamar. So Lamar already this year, interceptions. Lamar has already thrown. Yeah, he's already thrown 5 picks. I mean, it ain't the 12 that Russell Wilson has, but yeah, he's thrown 5 picks. And I think they've only played about 6 games. So
Yeah.
he's going to throw a pick in a game. You get Davante Adams on your team, I think he's going to end up throwing 2 and 3 picks, trying to force the ball down the field to Davante Adams. Every receiver, like Jamar Chase says, I'm always open. Every receiver thinks they're always open. That's not true. We know that's not true. Davante Adams is not going to be any different. He's going to always think that, hey, if you throw it in my direction, I got the best chance to get the ball. And that's true to an extent, but you need an accurate quarterback. And Lamar's not an accurate quarterback.
No, he isn't.
So I don't think for Davante, there's any upside to being on the Ravens. I don't even see this as a team that has any AFC championship game contentions. Not with Buffalo, not with Kansas City, not with Jacksonville, not with, you keep naming them. I don't see them in that mix. Miami, I don't see them in that mix. They're not that team. Now, don't get me wrong, the Raiders ain't either. You got a great fan base, you got great weather, stay. They love you. Stay. Your stats will at least get padded. You'll probably trigger a bunch of your bonuses. That's the other thing people don't realize too. They do get contracts, but they also have bonuses when you reach 1,000 yards, when you reach 1,500 yards receiving, when you have X amount of receptions a year. Those all trigger bonuses. Yak, yards after the catch. They get bonused off of that stuff. How much yak is Davante Adams going to get with Lamar Jackson being his quarterback?
Jackson is not going to help you hit your carrots, dude, for real.
He ain't gonna hit you while you in stride, and then you're gonna end up breaking away for 20 yards down the field. It's not gonna happen. So he's gonna take this great receiver, and then they're gonna be like, "Damn, what happened to Davante?" Yeah, you know what happened to him, Lamar. That was the dig on Lamar for the longest run, where people were like, "Yeah, he's a great player, but does he make other players around him great?"
No, he doesn't.
That's what you always have to ask yourself when it comes to a player. Not only are they great, but it's always that force multiplier part that I always bring up. Can they make? And I got a Ravens fan now on too. She gonna kill me too. I just having to look, and she on here too. Oh Jesus, I gotta finish my thought. She gonna kill me. But does he make players around him great?
No,
he doesn't. He's not a force multiplier. He's not. Is he great to watch? Is he great to have on your fantasy football team? Sometimes, because those interceptions do take away from the points. But when he's having all those yards rushing and stuff like that, can he eat up a fantasy football stat line? Yeah, that's all you care about. Start Lamar all the time. But is he a guy that will sit there and take, like we were talking about this on our other show last Thursday about leadership. And we always talked about how Tom Brady had the propensity to take guys that really were no-name guys. We would call them Jags, just the guy. And he would take them to the playoffs, the AFC Championship game, the Super Bowl, damn it. He'd take them off. And nobody had heard of these guys before they joined the Patriots. Can Lamar do that?
No.
Hell no. When your leading receiver for the last 4 years has been Mark Andrews, no, he cannot. When you look at Zay Flowers, when you look at some of these other guys on the team, are they benefiting from him being their quarterback? Or is he just a cool guy to be the quarterback?
Lamar Jackson can get you to the playoffs, but in the playoffs, he's a different animal.
Yeah, because it's going to rely on more than just him. He has to be able to use his team. Perfect example. Michael Jordan came to the league. Nobody could guard him. Nobody could stop him. He could score 60 points in the game, and guess what? The Bulls still lost. He could win scoring championships. Didn't mean nothing in the playoffs. Once he learned how to use his team as an extension and make them better, when he started making the B.J. Armstrongs, the Craig Hodgeses, the John Paxsons, the Steve Kerrs, the Will Purdue's, relevant guys, Luke Longleys. Cartwrights, when he started making those guys deadly and dangerous because he used them as an extension of his talent, that's when they won. It wasn't that he wasn't great before those championships. It wasn't going to get him anywhere. Yeah, maybe you win enough games, you get to the playoffs, you get bounced. You don't even get to the Eastern Conference Finals. So what? You made it to the playoffs. Great. But until Jordan realized, I can't do this on my own, even if it's just me and Scotty, we can't do this on our own. We got to have complementary play from our teammates, just enough to take just a guy, a jag on my team, and have them overperform. Same thing Tom Brady did. Drew Brees did that a lot of times when he was down in New Orleans. Peyton Manning did that a lot of times when he was in Denver and when he was in Indianapolis. Aaron Rodgers definitely did that a lot of times when he was in Green Bay. You know, Jordy Nelson. Come on now. Or when he had Cobby over there too. You know, these were guys that were good route runners and stuff like that, but you weren't never worried about Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson getting that kind of separation on you. Aaron Rodgers knew how to get him the ball.
Yep. And once Jordy Nelson went to the Raiders, he was not that dude anymore.
Nope. Same thing with Edelman in New England.
Yep.
Yeah. When they left, no, it just wasn't the same. That lets you know right there that a lot of it is dependent on that guy that touches the ball on every single snap and their ability to elevate their team to different levels. That's the issue with Dak Prescott. So when I talk about Lamar Jackson, I ain't just talking about junk about Lamar. That's the same problem that Dak has. He cannot elevate his team. He is not a game, what I call a force multiplier. He is not. A lot of times you win the game in spite of that, not because of that. The reason you won this last game, you won it because of him, only because he didn't throw any picks in this game. If he had thrown them same 3 interceptions like he did against San Francisco, you easily would have lost that game. That was the difference in the game, is your quarterback took care of the ball. That should be an expectation, not something to be celebrated. Just saying. So anyway, I'll go stop my tirade on that. But yeah, that's just kind of some of those things. Any other games during the week that kind of, I know the Browns game against San Francisco was a surprise. Debo got hurt. C-Mac got hurt. But the Browns were playing some really, really good defense even up through that game, and they didn't even have Mr. Masagi in that game at all. So that was an interesting game, I thought. Joe Burrows is starting to look more and more like himself. AFC North, he spotted you a couple of wins, but he's coming. I think he's coming, Rand.
Definitely. I never counted him out. I
think some of the talks about his demise were highly exaggerated. I think he's coming. Jamar Chase says, I'm always open. And Jamar, now this game, he didn't have a lot. He only had 6 receptions for 80 yards, but he has been playing a lot better as of late. And then Anthony says, 49ers last 2 calls screwed the 49ers and the kicker missed. Absolutely. It was a lot closer. But when you think about the 49ers putting up what they did on the Cowboys, then playing the Browns, even without their starting quarterback, you wouldn't even thought the Browns had a chance to hang around in that game. So I'll give credit where credit is due. Cleveland actually put together a pretty decent game. I'll tell you a game that really blew me away. What the hell is wrong with the Bills? How in the living hell do you let the New York Football Giants lead you at halftime 6-0?
That was actually an entertaining game. That was actually an entertaining primetime game. One that we thought was like would be just an absolute blowout, a landslide. Turned out to be very entertaining.
Now, Dayball, I'm gonna have to get on you real quick in this game. At the end of that first half, you elected to try to run the ball straight at the middle, and Saquon got stood up.
Straight stupid. You talking about clock mismanagement? Cost you the game right there.
Those were your 7 points right there, bro.
Yep.
That would have won you the game. That would have gave you enough points to win that game. That would have been it. Anthony says, don't sleep on the Giants defense. I'm not. The problem with that is if they can stay in low-scoring, ugly games, they have a chance. Tyrod Taylor threw the ball 36 times, 24 of 36 for 200 yards. But the other thing was Saquon Barkley, pay that man 24 carries, 93 yards. That was a lot of your offense too, because he kept the chains moving. A lot of times what would happen though is they would stall out in the red zone. That is not your running back's fault, because when at the closer and closer ran that you get to the goal line, you have shorter fields so the defense can play up more. They don't have to worry about your receivers. Well, they don't have to worry about Giants receivers trying to break away anyway. But they really don't have to think about it when you're on the 18-yard line, because there's not a whole lot of field back there. They can step up if they see that it's an obvious run.
Excuse me. Y'all might be very surprised to know who's the number one defense in the NFL right now.
I'm here for
the Cleveland Browns. Crazy. You talk about stat of the weird. That right there is stat of the weird.
Wait.
And I'm talking by far
over the Jets,
the number one defense in the NFL. Yes, a lot over the Jets.
Damn, I might have to go back.
Cleveland Browns.
I might have to go to my Facebook Kings and do a quick defensive trade.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's me and you this week. Oh yeah, we going head to head this week, buddy.
Yeah.
Head to head not only applies for the show, it applies for fantasy football.
I forgot about that. That's right. You're coming out to number one, y'all. You're coming out to number one.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, Simon got beat this week, so that pushed me from 2-1 again. So appreciate that, Bricks. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, I might have to look at that. That's a crazy stat. But yeah, the Giants were in this game. I think there were just a few crucial plays when they decided to run again, being too predictable. Who didn't think Saquon was going to get that ball and use that to your advantage to do some kind of reverse, some kind of screen? You can do some of those plays where the tight end does a quick chip and then they slant, and you can't cover that slant because it's too close. Once he chips
in that situation, you're supposed to quick pass.
Right, because they can't step up that fast.
Right, and if it's incomplete, so what? You got another chance to do it again. The clock is stopped.
Y'all need to stop with these analytics. Analytics say we have a 73% chance if we just run the ball straight up the middle.
Yeah, and even if we don't get it, we could set up and do it again. No, you did not.
No, not when you got 7 seconds left.
Right.
You could even just kick the field goal if you were going to do that. But you had a chance to get 7 on the board. That would have gotten you the game. Josh Allen just did not look like he was in that game. Stephon Diggs, 10 receptions for 100 yards. He did his part, but Giants defense definitely did not let him break free. They had every chance in the world to win that game. That was definitely the one that got away. The Bills are very fortunate to win that game and move on. You know, when the Bills win games like that, my Facebook feed don't get flooded. They won and they keep it moving. Hell, I got friends of mine that are Jets fans, like on purpose. They beat the Eagles. I ain't heard nothing. Not a damn thing, Cowboy fans. The Jets beat the Eagles. The worst team in the world, beats the best team by stats, undefeated. I ain't hear a word. Not a word. Not a word, Cowboys. I ain't heard no Jets, Jets. Ain't heard none of that, Rand. None of it.
Nah.
And I got people that, they die hard Jets fans, so they used to pain. I ain't heard nothing. Just craziness. I know a lot of Detroit fans. I ain't heard nothing. That was a good game. Raiders and the Patriots, 21-17. Patriots were actually in that game. Mac Jones, a better game, 24-33, 200 yards and a pick. Garoppolo, did he finish the game? Because, he never finished his game. But that New England is just going nowhere. They're 1-5, and Ramondre Stevenson may be on the trading block, I think, before the 31st. Because you got to start getting rid of some of your assets to get draft value. And you don't have a lot of draft value on that team. So if you can trade some of these guys, you got to get rid of them.
And come the end of the year, Belichick and Kraft are going to have a mighty, mighty good conversation about where things are going.
I think so. Well, I think, like I said on the last show, at the bare minimum, the GM responsibilities have to be taken away. If you want to keep him as a coach, let him focus on being a coach, but mandate to him, you need to use your coordinators.
Yeah.
And my God, even if they do that at this point, Rand, Mac Jones is the next Baker Mayfield. He has seen so many coordinators and so many different schemes and systems. Is he salvageable at this point?
I don't think so. I mean, you look at him when he takes his helmet off and he's sitting there on the sidelines, he just looks so disengaged and like he would rather just be somewhere else other than this damn game that he's responsible for going out there and winning.
Yeah. Different Sunday, same bull crap. I'm sure that goes through his mind all the time. Like, okay, I wonder how much we're going to lose by this week. I wonder how close we're going to come, but end up losing in the end. I wonder how much they're going to try to put it on me. I wonder if Bill going to yank me out the game and put in Zappy. You know, he's got to be thinking about that all the time because it's a possibility. Anthony says Lions might come out top 3 in the NFC. Well, that's what we picked them to do.
Definitely, yeah. That would not be no surprise to me.
That ain't be a surprise at all. It would be more of a surprise if they don't.
Yep.
Because we already picked them to win the NFC North. So
when they opened that game on the opening Thursday night of the NFL season and they got past Kansas City, some people said, you know, oh, whatever. It was just one game. Okay, the Lions got one game. It was way more than that, man. That was years of not being able to get over the hump.
Team over the last 3 years with Dan Campbell, then that is a asinine statement.
Yeah, I heard a lot of that. Oh, it's just one game. They got lucky. Blah blah blah. No, when they won against Kansas City on opening night, first of all, to even be invited to play on the opening game of the season in prime time is out of the Lions' pedigree. But they showed up. They didn't like shy from the primetime lights, and we know a lot of them primetime lights can make a lot of teams very hot and nervous, and they don't perform well. The Lions came in, they showed up, and they showed out. And that was, you could tell by their celebration at the end of the game that was a very, very triumphant win, getting over the hump type deal. And once they cleared that hurdle, I mean, they've just kept on stepping.
Yeah, I mean, when you've been part of that rebuilding process, when you were the laughing stock of the NFC North, year after year after year
after year,
and you look at the Chiefs as the standard. You know, I'm gonna take a Mike Tomlin.
That's right.
Standard.
That's right. That's another good point.
When you play yourself against the standard, that's your measuring stick right there.
Exactly.
Say, okay, we can sit there and beat all these cream puffs. We can do this. We can be close in games. Maybe not actually win it, but it was competitive and all those things. But when you go into the home of the standard and you come out with a dub
in prime time,
yeah, you made that's more than a statement. That's more than a statement. So definitely, I mean, when you think about it, the NFC, you got San Francisco, you got Philadelphia, you got Detroit. Let's not talk about the NFC South. So by default, yes, they would be at least number 3. If Philly doesn't fix what ails them, they could be number 2.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to compare Dallas to Detroit, I got Detroit all day long in that matchup.
All day. Do they play them this year?
I hope so.
You know, I kind of want to see that now. Let me just look at the Lions schedule real quick, because that would be that would be wonderful. All right, they have rest on their schedule. They've got Ravens. They can win that game. They've got Raiders. They can win that game. They got Chargers. That should be competitive. They got the Bears. They should win that game. Then they got the Packers. They should win that game. Saints should be competitive. Then they play the Bears again. Then they got to play the Broncos. I'm sorry. That's going to be crazy. Oh, Jesus. Aiden Hutchinson is going to eat Russell Wilson. I mean, he may actually literally eat. Then they got to play the Vikings, and then they play the Cowboys on December the 30th at 8:15 p.m.
Oh, yes.
We is up for that game.
Prime time.
I might have to live stream that game.
Oh, man. Can't wait to see it.
Aiden Hutchinson on one side, Micah Parsons on the other side, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff. Oh, man. Hopefully Jahmyr Gibbs is feeling good. Tony Pollard. Oh, yeah, that's going to be a good ass whooping. I mean, I'm here for it. And it's going to be That's gonna be
Oh
my
my God! That don't take no plays off. That's also Aiden Hutchinson.
the
He takes
motor on
no
that dude.
plays
That
off.
dude's motor is stupid. They're getting such a bargain for him on his rookie deal right now. They really are. And that's the thing about windows of opportunity, Rand. You got Aiden Hutchinson on his rookie deal. You got a Jared Goff that was thrown to the trash heap by the LA Rams with a chip on his shoulder. And he is by far playing some of his best football in his entire career.
Absolutely, yes, he
So
looks great, and I
he's
never thought I would
he's
say
on
that
a
about
mission.
him.
Yeah, me saying Jared Goff playing the best football of his career, I ain't never think I would say that. But you gotta look at what he's doing week in and week out. These guys play a certain way for Dan Campbell. They
They sure
really do.
do.
They really do. And it's almost like it's their culture. It's just the way that they do things. These guys will run through a wall for that man. If you tell them, hey, if you run through that wall, you're gonna make it to the other side, they will believe him and do it.
He changed the complete culture of that whole city.
He
I
did.
mean, he came in there a little silly, talking about biting off kneecaps and all this together, and we all laughed at him and said, "Who is this wrestling clown coming in here
Right,
trying
right,
to be a
right.
coach?"
Corn
But
dog.
now, a couple of years later, look at the players. I mean, they are an extension of that. They do fight people to the daggone death if they need to.
Yeah. When you play the Lions, even if you win, you're gonna know that you played the Lions the day before. You're gonna
I'm
feel it.
telling you.
You're gonna be like, damn, I know we got the dub, but phew, Hutchinson, he
Woo,
plays the whistle.
that dude bit my kneecap.
Hey, who's his granddaddy? Mike Tyson? What's his body parts going on? What's going on here? So yeah, that's the Lions are definitely minimum number 3 in the NFC. Hands down, hands down. I think that was all of the surprise games that I saw. I wasn't really surprised by any of the other games that much. Any games coming up this week that we're gonna be looking at? I know we got Jaguars and Saints tomorrow.
For selfish reasons, I'm going to be looking at my Steelers, trying to
Ooh,
stay pace with the Ravens and the Browns. We got that Rams game. We got to get it, and it's in LA, so it's
got
not
it.
going to be easy, but we got to get it, man. We got to get it.
You gotta have that game. And you're right for that reason to just keep up with the Bengals, with the Ravens, potentially now with the Browns.
Cleveland as well. Yeah, they're 3-2 too.
Yeah, I mean that is talking about a tight division. That is going to be a very competitive division that is going to force you guys to win non-divisional games, so that when you do end up in those division games, if you can get sweeps or splits, that'll give you the up and up as far as tiebreakers are concerned. So it could come down to a lot of that. Win the games outside of that division, because playing within your division is going to be tough enough as it is. If you try to be dependent on winning those divisional games, no, you're
We
gonna
do
have
got a hell
to.
of a matchup coming up on Sunday night prime time. That's going to be good. I think maybe the game of the week is that one right there.
Woo! Two offenses that get it done in two totally different ways. Eagles
Yes.
going to be looking to dominate time of possession and the clock by keeping the ball on the ground, using their dynamic quarterback Jalen Hurts and a lot of the offensive weapons on the ground game, sprinkling that in from time to time with their throwing attack. But then you're also going to see the cheetah, Jalen Waddle, trying to spread that offense out. I don't know if Achane is going to be back for this game. I hadn't seen anything on the injury report about Achane, but it doesn't matter. They got another
Sure
bad
don't.
dude, and his name
They
is
sure
Raheem
do.
Mostert. And,
Yep.
and, and Mostert has been making the most out of his opportunities. So that is going to be a crazy Sunday night football game. Now, the Monday night game might be a beatdown.
You think so?
Justin Jefferson is on the IR.
Oh, true that. True that. True that.
Debo looked like he done healed up. C-Mac looked like I think he has an oblique issue, but I think he'll be ready. If C-Mac and Debo are out on that field, and Kittle is on that field, and Ayuk is on that field,
Yeah, I could see that being a statement game based on what happened to them last week against the Browns. Definitely,
You
definitely.
tell me that Kyle Shanahan gets an extra day to prepare for a Vikings team that is going nowhere fast.
Yeah, that could get ugly.
I mean, I might have to call New York and be like, please stop this game. Please. Don't do this. I mean, there are children, my God, watching this. Stop this game. You know, that's kind of like my West Charlotte Lions who had homecoming last Friday. I'm gonna give it up to West Charlotte beating Harding 72-7.
Oh yeah, I saw a picture of you out there, homie.
Yeah, yeah. So
Congrats.
go ahead, Lions, and 6-1 and all that good stuff. But yeah, 72-7. We left at halftime because we were like at halftime it was already like 45-7. I was like, yeah, this ain't gonna go well. And it started raining and stuff. I didn't want to mess up my hair anyway, but I said this ain't gonna end well for Harding. I looked at Harding's side of the field. These guys looked like they was all but 5'1", 5'2". They ain't have a lot of big hog mollies on their side of the ball. You look at West Charlotte, it look like a whole college side over there. It look like about 70 players over there. Harding looked like they had about 15 players total. I'm like, that ain't gonna end well, bro. Where they having to play offense and defense, special teams, everything. I'm like, this ain't gonna end well.
That kind of reminds me of when Bugs Bunny would be playing sports and have to go up against some of these monster teams.
What it looked like. But it's what you schedule for your homecoming. I will say that. We should. I told my brother and some of my classmates because we all got together. I'm like, yeah, we should have Harding every homecoming. This was great. It was the new field too, the new Mo Collins field at West Charlotte. So it was really, really good to be able to experience that with a lot of the old time classmates. First time this year not the first time this year, first season that they've been on that field. So it was really, really good to be able to see the campus and stuff. But yeah, 72-7. I'm only bringing that up because I look at 49ers and the Vikings. I see,
be the same.
see that.
Yeah. So yeah, you had a good old weekend, man, and happy belated birthday to Mom Dukes too. I saw that as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. And on a separate note, it's been a great week too because my North Carolina Tar Heels. Speaking of West Charlotte University, there was a Mr. Tez Walker out there doing his thing for them NC Tar Heels too.
Not once,
Not once,
not twice, but 3 times a lady.
I'm like, go ahead, Dub. See,
that's why they didn't want him to play.
Right. That's exactly why. So my Tar Heels are 6-0. So happy about that. Fantasy football looking good. Man, I can't complain. Only thing I complain about is them damn Panthers. I can get past the Panthers. My life is like complete.
But you still got the Eagles, so
yeah, I still got my Eagles. So that's helped me out, even though they didn't play like they should have played. I think they're gonna have a rebound game against the Dolphins, but the firepower of the Dolphins, if that defense don't sit there and jam Waddle and jam Tyreek Hill, that could be a long day for them because you won't be able to get by with just field goals. You're going to have to go touchdown for touchdown with them. That's not going to be a game where you leave points out on the field. When you're in a position to get 7, you got to get those 7.
And Philadelphia safety, you better do your homework. Please stay back there and help your cornerbacks.
You know the double move is coming. You know this dude runs 24 miles an hour. What?
That's about fast as a dog.
That's second gear, ain't it? Y'all better watch out because that's gonna be a crazy game. All right, so that's what I got. You got some other good games. You got some divisional matchups. You got the Commanders versus the Giants. Should be a decent game. We'll see which Sam Howell shows up, and we'll see which New York Giants defense shows up. Like I said, you got the Lions and the Ravens. That should be a good game. Browns and the Colts. I'm going to have to kind of maybe lean to the Browns. Kareem Hunt is back in the mix doing his thing. And I don't think Mr. Masagi will be back, so we'll see how that goes. But then the Colts, yeah, you got a lot of healthy doses. Zach Moss, Jonathan Taylor, and you got Uncle Rico there as well. So we'll see how that goes. Falcons and the Bucks, that's going to be a fight for the NFC South. The Bills and the Patriots, on paper, this looks like the Bills should trample the Patriots, but after watching what the Giants defense did to the Bills, could the Patriots make it at least somewhat reasonable through the first 2.5, 3/4 of the game and then lose it in the fourth?
I don't know with Mac Jones back there.
You never, but do we trust Josh Allen fully either? I mean, we know what he's capable of, but if you're that capable, you shouldn't be down 6-0 to the Giants. I don't care what their defense did. You Josh damn Allen.
Yeah.
We talked about star players got to show up. Josh, you didn't show up the first half of that game at all. So you can't be taking halves off. And somebody brought up to me and said it kind of looks like they're bored. Like some teams, they just kind of sleepwalk up through the playoffs. They just play who's in front of them, but they're not playing with any sense of urgency, and they know they can just turn it on at any time. Did they do that? I don't know. But if you do that, that's a recipe for disaster that will come back and bite you in your tail. So I don't see that being something that you should do on a regular basis, taking plays off, taking halves off, and stuff like that. Play don't give them no hope because it could have went the other way. You let them stay in the game long enough, they may find a way to win, and you definitely don't want to do that. So with all that said, that wraps us up for another week head-to-head sports. Catch us, like I said, on all of our streaming platforms. Make sure that you share this airing, but it'll also be available on YouTube, Roku, Amazon Fire TV as well. We thank y'all for tuning in with us for another week. And like I said, y'all make sure that y'all go on and y'all catch my boys with Kendrick Colt.
Love it.
Keep up with them on all of their streaming platforms so you know where they're performing. I guarantee you it will definitely be a good time. They always rock out wherever they are, so keep up with the Colt.
Appreciate that shout out, brother.
Absolutely. Well, y'all, that's our time. We will see y'all again next week. Y'all take care and be safe.